Hey guys, are any of you in a season of waiting and you are unsure of what to do? Or maybe you know what to do and you don't want to do it. Well, I've got 3 things you should do, or 1 thing you shouldn't do, and 2 things you should do while you wait on God. I also have 2 tips at the end. I really pray that this blesses you. And I'm going to make this quick. All right, guys. Number 1, do not complain. Proverbs 18:21 tells us life and death are in the power of the tongue. So according to how you speak over the situation is what you are bound to see. Now, I've always heard this. I've always heard that murmuring and complaining can change the outcome of a situation, but I didn't know how true that was until I experienced it myself. We also see this with the children of Israel. I know it seems like everybody knows this story by now. But the children of Israel turned an 11-day journey into a 40-year journey. They were headed to a promised land. God had promised them a land flowing with milk and honey. And because of complaining and unbelief of God's promise, it turned into something way longer than what they were expecting. I do believe that it is all right to be expressive with God. Absolutely. Tell him what you're feeling. We see this with David a lot. We see emotion and then we see truth of the matter. So we see, God, I don't understand why this is happening. Are you still here with me? But you know what? You are God above all things. And I know that you have promised me that you will never leave me. I know that your promises ring true for me. If you say a thing, will it not happen? And so you have to reaffirm your soul, and you kind of have to force your soul. Also force your soul to show gratitude. Always be thankful for what God has given you. Number 2 is be faithful where God has placed you. I'm going to read this verse. This is Luke 16:10. One who is faithful in a very little will be faithful with much, and one who is dishonest in a very little will be dishonest with much. It is important that where God has placed you, while you are waiting for the next, that you are being a faithful steward. Before God can move you to your next, he is watching how you handle the now. Do not leave a place sooner than you are supposed to. If God has told you to stay right where you are, you stay right where you are. Listen, y'all, I want to be as transparent as possible. I have gone against exactly what I am telling you to do. and it did not work out for me. It really did not work out for me. And don't start something if he's not telling you to. So if he's telling you wait, or maybe he hasn't given you an answer yet, yes, sometimes he wants us to move by faith, but he'll make that evident to you. Be faithful where you are. Lastly, Psalm 46:10. Be still and know that he is God. Exactly what it sounds like. But you need to force your soul, force your spirit to submit to God. Because it'll run rapid if it can. It will. You'll be anxious about what's next. You'll be anxious about if God is even going to perform what he said he would. And so it's a matter of truly stilling your soul. Some ways that I like to do that is I like to get 3 verses that confirm that what God said is true. So it can be a verse about his promise. It can be a verse about trusting him. But whenever those anxieties come up, you recite those. You can recite them in your mind, or you can speak them aloud. But being still can also manifest into the physical. So meaning, like we previously spoke about with the faithfulness, being still, if God has told you not to move or not to do a particular thing, please listen. He is telling you that for a reason. Guys, like I said, I want to be transparent. All of these things I am telling you is because I have experienced them. You do not want to move ahead of God. There's grace for these things, so there's no shame, no condemnation for those who are in Christ. But we don't want to do these things because there is grace. Romans 6:1 states, should we go on sinning that grace may abound? No, absolutely not. So if you made a mistake, you come on back and then we try this again. 2 quick tips, and the first one is going to be stay far away from comparison. 2 Corinthians 10:12 tells us that when they measure themselves by themselves and compare themselves with themselves, they are not wise. Guys, it's easy to hyperfixate on someone else's journey, especially when you're in the waiting season. But remember, it may be someone else's yes season while it's your not right now season. So be careful. There's a time for everything. God prepares us differently. And lastly, now this one isn't even really a tip. I just want you to be encouraged, because during this season, it can also feel like God has left you. I understand that. But Deuteronomy 31:8 tells us that he will never leave us and he will never forsake us. So we don't have to be afraid. Don't worry. If God has promised you something and you are full on well that he has spoken that promise to you, you better believe that he's going to perform it. We know that that's one of his qualities. It's my personally my favorite thing about the Lord is his faithfulness. That God is not like man that he will leave after he makes a promise, but God is faithful to fulfill that promise. Please be encouraged. Yes, it may be taking a long time, but he's preparing you. And he's making sure that you're ready to handle what may be coming your way. So please be encouraged. I even like to believe the longer it takes, either you complaining or it's something really great on the other side, guys. The Lord loves us so much. Please, please, please be encouraged by that today. I so pray that this was helpful. So if you are waiting or about to wait, because that season is going to come one way or another, happy waiting. And God bless you guys.